everybody. I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 2 of the Penguin series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Max, check that episode out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 2 of the Penguin series, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Whew. We are just getting like great episodes right now. Like, holy crap, this series is awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm totally satisfied. It just feels. I said this last step, like for the first episode, it just feels like a movie. Like the amount of like cinematography that's in this, and just like the amount of acting, and oh man, it's just great. It's great.
Oh yeah, top notch stuff on all fronts for sure.
I'm so happy. But I mean, right off the bat, I just have to say we're getting another awesome episode of Oz kind of playing dumb behind the scenes, but like he's really, playing chess when everybody kind of is just discounting him.
He's playing his pieces, yeah, for sure.
Everyone thinks he's just like following orders and stuff, but he's really like, setting everything. Oh man, it's just so good.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's yeah, it's great. Like I don't even know how else to say it. I'm enjoying kind of that little bit of suspense that we're getting, and kind of how he is just kind of arranging things. It's awesome. But Rico, what are some of your instant reactions for episode 2?
Yeah, it's really fun to kind of watch him, again, play his pieces as it's kind of presented to him, right? Yeah. There's kind of moments where he thinks he knows it's going to happen, and sometimes it doesn't really go with the way he's going to think, and it's kind of cool to watch that. But I love that we also get like a more personal look at Sophia in this episode. I think there's a lot more. I wasn't expecting to get like this really cool like dream sequence episode or sequence to kind of start off the episode.
Yeah.
Where like at first I thought we were getting like a flashback to actually her at Arkham, but then it turns out to be like this kind of wild, messed up dream that she's having with conversations with like Alberto and other people and stuff. Yeah, and then of course the seeing her and her therapist played by Theo Rossi. That was really cool because I remember him as Juice from Sons of Anarchy, and I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff too. Like he was in the Luke Cage series. He always plays like these really kind of fun roles like this. And I have a feeling there's going to be an interesting dynamic between him and Sophia that's going to play out in later on in the season as well. So I'm very excited to see like what that's gonna present later on. But it also kind of shows like this unique side to her. Like obviously we get like this kind of composed mafia princess vibe from her in the first episode, but this kind of shows that she's got a lot more layers to her, and she's dealing with a lot more hurdles. Not just within like the mafia family and stuff, and like just kind of like the hierarchy of how that's playing out, but also like she's dealing with a lot of hurdles within herself, and like kind of wrestling with her own past, and also the perception that people because of her past.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling there's a lot more to that story that we probably don't know yet, and so it's a matter of just how she's perceived versus like the events that actually happen. But she's also known as a character called the Hangman too, so it's like also like she probably did some pretty crazy shit as well. Yeah. I got a feeling this story is going to be a pretty hectic one at best, at the very least. But yeah, I'm really liking that we're getting to see this kind of performance from Kristen Milioti, who is just really just killing it so far. I'm going to see more of that character already, and that's a testament to how good she is with how good Colin Farrell is as Oz as well, because he's amazing in the show already. So if you can get people talking about your character as well, that's also a good thing.
Yeah, you know what, the therapy scene where she is kind of I guess reliving, tripping out, reliving those. In that moment, he's trying to like bring her back, like everything. You know what that reminded me of? And it's really funny because I was actually like, every once in a while I kind of go back to the Marvel Netflix series and kind of just put it on and like Jessica Jones. Remember the first season of Jessica Jones where she's dealing with, the fallout from being controlled by
Right.
Kilgrave, and she is like she has the therapy where she was working through it type of thing, and she had to remember street names from when she was little.
Yeah.
So she repeats that, like that's kind of her mantra to kind of
Right.
pull her out of the hallucinations and stuff like that.
Right.
That kind of reminded me of that scene type of, or I was getting that vibe during that scene type of thing.
Yeah, kind of just getting back to centering yourself,
Right,
with the deep breaths and stuff like that. Yeah,
right,
for
right.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm gonna give up big takeaways and kind of exactly like what we were just talking about, kind of in the quick reactions type of thing to this episode. It's tough to kind of pick like one thing that I really wanted to like point out in this episode. In general, I mean, very well done. I enjoyed the entire episode. But kind of going back to, I really like how Oz is really like playing angles, both sides, like everything right now. I'm really enjoying kind of this suspense, and not only, when his plan kind of we find out that was all of his plan, like in all along type of thing. But even when he has to make pivots and stuff like that, like I mean, I can make one joke reference. I'll add an extra reference. When he finds out he has to ride with the product.
Oh yeah, on the truck for the
You
FEMA
see the
heist?
look on
Yeah.
his face. You know what that reminded me of? Do you remember in Arrested Development where Job goes,
I've made a huge mistake.
it's just like immediately like you'd see it in his face. Like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah, absolutely.
shit. Like, but just his ability to kind of, think on his feet and pivot when it needs to happen. And he, not only that, like, did we get to see demonstrations of him being able to do that with, the knife and, the scene where he gets forced to kind of ride in the product truck when he thought he was going to be in a different vehicle. But he's explaining it at the end of the episode to Vic. Like, he's like, I have to pivot when things don't work. You have to learn how to do this too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so we're kind of getting an insight to, not only did we see it, but he's telling Vic, who I guess is kind of the audience, because he like, he's all new to this world, just like we're kind of new to this world type of thing. So Vic can kind of, I guess, be a member of the audience in general, because he's explaining some stuff to him. But I just, I to be able to see that and see how he's kind of working both sides is just, it's interesting. And you get these really cool moments of suspense where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out the way he thinks it's going to. And yeah, it's just interesting to see how he works it out. But Rico, what were some of your big takeaways?
Yeah, his ability to kind of weasel his way out of certain situations, whether it be through certain mishaps that happen that make him have to think on his feet, or even whether it's just him talking his way out of situations. Because there's a lot of times where he just gets in these conversations that put him into hot water, and then he's able to talk himself out of it.
Yep.
Like when the Maronians are about to kill him, and he's able to like, hold on, look at the files. Like I got stuff for you. So it's like he's literally inches from death, and then he's able to like kind of talk his way out of those situations, which is always really impressive to watch. And again, just a testament to Colin Farrell and his performance, man. He's just absolutely killing it. But yeah, another thing that kind of that fascinates me about this show really is Oz's relationship with his mom. Because you can obviously tell by the way that this woman is, that she's clearly the reason like why he is like the way that he is. Even from the first episode, when she kind of the way she speaks to him, when you shot that junkie pissant because you wanted to, like, she's got like this mafia woman vibe to her, but like but you can tell that she's just kind of like crafted this kind of like sadistic kind of little boy from the beginning. And I'm sure it also has to do with like the loss of his brothers, which he kind of talks about in this episode a little bit too. So I'm sure we're gonna get a little bit more of that later on. Like we're gonna get a little bit more into like early Oz flashbacks that are gonna really give us a look into why he is the way he is. It almost kind of reminds me of the way that we kind of saw Fisk task in Daredevil. I think that's kind of a little comparison that you could probably make here. And just kind of the way that she kind of manipulated him like that, and kind of forced like that the way that he kind of is in his upbringing. You can kind of see the way he's doing that to Vic now. He kind of, I think that because obviously he sees a version of himself in Vic because of the stutter, like just the fact they have like this disability that they can kind of relate to each other from. But he also sees Vic as someone that he thinks that doesn't have anybody. I think in this episode we get a little bit of a hint that there is somebody out there that that Vic knows, and I think he's just keeping that under the vest so that Oz doesn't know about her. So I think that that's so the whole like him just trying to pretty much bring his mother's upbringing down onto Vic. Essentially, he's just passing down what he was brought up with. It's a very interesting dynamic to watch, and each time that he's kind of messed with Vic, both that he's thinking he's going to kill him, because he's probably thinking about doing it right then and there, but then he gets a soft spot for him, and he's like, okay, get out of here. And he kind of uses it as a way of teaching him, like a teaching moment for Vic. But it just kind of shows that kind of crazy manipulative relationship that he has, which you feel like when people fall into that life, that's kind of how it happens. You fall into a debt with person, and you're just kind of stuck doing task after task, and then there you go, we're in that life. So I think watching that character development with Vic is going to be very interesting, especially based off some of the episode previews where it seems like he's going to dive a little bit deeper into this life and kind of embrace it a little bit more. It's going to be a very, very interesting arc, I think, to watch. Just kind of seeing how, him molding another possibly version of himself essentially in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see if Vic ends up becoming not a major villain, but like a villain in the, the Batman sequel movie type of thing, like moving forward.
Yeah, I think he'll always just be like a clear, like the number one guy to Penguin. Like, this is my guy, Vic. Like that's always going to be. So yeah, I'm sure you'll have some interactions at some point with him. But yeah, I think it's also weird, interesting with the mom that she's kind of like used as like to show that Oz has like a soft spot, like he's got like this kind of warm spot for people that he loves. But she's also the reason why he's such a heinous human being to begin with. So it's like it's a very interesting way, but it's also just an amazingly written character in general.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get to some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay, so really what I didn't kind of see happening, maybe so early in the series or maybe just in general, is the idea of Oz and Sophia working together, which is something that was set up here at the end of the episode. And I also love like the smile that goes on Sophia's face when it's like, you ready to do this? And he's like, let's go. And it's just like, oh, okay, like we're about to get off and running like real quick. But like you just kind of see that one, Oz's plan is like playing out almost exactly what he wants. And now he has an unlikely ally that he can use to his full advantage now. And basically it's like he's almost like an excuse, like now it's just us working together. And now I can pit these other two families together with her help. I have to imagine that this is gonna blow up in some way. Like these are two personalities that are just not gonna be able to coexist for very long. I have a feeling at some point that Sophia is just going to learn that it was really Oz that killed Alberto to begin with.
It has to.
Yeah, it's going to happen, and it's going to lead to this big blowout. So I do feel like Sophia is like the end boss of the season, if anything. So yeah, but for the meantime, seeing them working together has me very intrigued because I want to see what those two minds together can come up with as far as like sabotaging the other Falcones. I think Vidi is and both and Luca, I think are both going to be gone within the next few episodes, in my opinion. But yeah, they've been setting up Vidi getting set up for a while now, so I'm excited to see that kind of happen. And seeing him being a dick more and more to other people just makes it's going to make it more worthwhile to see him get his comeuppance. And then I was saying before we start recording that like because they didn't cast like a big name actor as Luca Falcone, I have a feeling that guy's not very long for this world either. Even though I do like that little dynamic between him and Sophia for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you could already see some of the cracks in that relationship.
Oh yeah.
When he went ahead and shot who they thought was the traitor and didn't let Sophia do it. Like she was already like, you should have let me do it. You should have like so.
He was mine to kill. Yeah.
You already see some of the cracks right there. But yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, there's so many things that are kind of at play right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see kind of how everything kind of. I have a feeling it's going to be like this kind of slow like burn, and then just like you said, like explosion type of thing in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so I'm excited to kind of see everything kind of inch a little bit more and a little bit more in the next, like in the coming episodes until we get like that big giant, like something this like event to set everything off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks really cool. The other thing that, I'm wondering if like what the fallout's going to be from the was it the Maroney's henchman guy that
Yeah, Irvad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got they knew he got kidnapped or captured from the hospital. And Oz was supposed to try to get him out, basically.
Right.
So I mean, it's gonna be his word saying that, oh yeah, by the time I got there, he was already killed, obviously. But I'm wondering,
Who's good is dead. Yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering if that's gonna set off like a chain, and we're gonna start getting these families finally like actually at odds with each other, or if they're gonna be like, well, now we don't really trust Oz because we're believing him now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like they fully trust him anyway, so I don't know what this is going to do. I don't know if it's going to make them trust him less, or if it's going to make them trust him more, and then just automatically like this is what we needed to get the two families to finally, start, type of thing. Because
too many things are going conveniently right for Oz right now. That it's something's going to go like very bad for him, and like in a bad way for like this overall plan. And it's not. Yeah, he's going to have to. I have a feeling it's going to be somebody connecting. That he is like the main connecting factor to all these big things that are happening between both families. So yeah, I'm curious to see who it's going to be that's going to solve that like puzzle. If it's going to be Sophia, if it's going to be somebody that we don't expect, if it's going to be somebody like Vic who has all this information on Oz, like yeah, there's so many different ways that you can see this going down.
Or I mean, we still don't know who that mysterious person that Vic got a text from. What if he's talking to somebody? Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it could be whoever.
Yeah,
he's talking
I don't know if it's like a mom or a girlfriend or something like that. It had a name like Gabriella or something like that. So it's like I think it's clearly like he's playing his personal stuff very close to the vest so that Oz doesn't find out anything and put them in harm's way. So and it's just because Oz told him like I know you lost everything, so he's just gonna let him run with that. So I think I think Vic's a lot smarter than when he's almost leading me on sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, and he's learning from Oz too, because Oz, goes to all that trouble to make sure that no one's following him, no one can figure out that his mom is still alive, and he even said to why can't I think Sophia that she passed a few years ago, type of thing. So he's keeping that a secret from everybody, also. So like,
yeah, that's true.
Vic is basically learning that right from Oz in the first place, where he's like,
I thought that was very interesting too when he was like, oh, they don't know that his mom's alive. So I thought that was very very interesting.
Well, with all the riding the trains, getting on a different car, like all that stuff, I knew that he was like trying to keep her separate, like away from everything, type of thing. So yeah,
there's also the prostitute that knows about that. So there's a lot of things that can go bad for Oz here, and I think they set that up in that episode too, that conversation with them, like you're putting us in danger basically, and like I can't, like I can't really do this for a while. Essentially, was like as long as you just gotta trust me. Essentially, it's like, oh, well, does she really trust him? Is he really someone to be trusted? So he's leaving a lot of things out there that are a little bit too open ended that it can't always go well for him.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I didn't ask this. Just to pull back the screen or whatever. I didn't ask you this, and I didn't write it on a rundown. I have a question. Do you think? Because I mean, look, anything could happen. We are dealing with the director from the movie series or from the movie, and that. Do you think there is potential that we could see Robert Pattinson's Batman at all in this series?
No, I don't think there's a need for him in this. I think he's dealing with probably bigger issues at this point that are probably going to be set up through the movie. But I think the main cameo for me that I think we're going to see in here is probably Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. He's a really good actor on top of that, but I think he's probably just like the next level down from Batman technically. But the other side of it, the good guy cop that has to be brought in, kind of like, someone's got to be sniffing around what's going around down here, even though there's a lot of big problems going around Gotham. Like there's no way they're just letting it be a lawless land at some point. But I do like that Sophia does bring up the term no man's land at some point, because that is Gotham is kind of like in a no man's land kind of zone right now, because it's a famous comic book series essentially where Gotham, I think, was just kind of like isolated as like a crime zone basically, and like you had all these different factions of like people taking over certain parts of Gotham, and it was called no man's land, and it was just kind of like them on their own basically. So it was really very interesting. So I wonder if they're just kind of like throwing in nods like that, like just nods to certain Batman stories just to say that. So yeah, I just like when they're doing little details like that.
So I absolutely agree that I think the greatest chances, if I were to bet on it, Commissioner Gordon, good chance we'll see him.
Yeah.
But I think there's a 1% chance. 1% chance. Because listen to me, what if at the end everything like that we're saying, like everything explodes and everything is like Sophia figures it out or whatever, and this is like the very end type of thing. What if Oz has to be saved by Batman and then gets arrested and put in Arkham, and that starts the events of the second movie where Oz meets up with all of the other inmates in Arkham type of thing? That's all. That's the only situation I could think that like it might happen. Just at the at the very very end, we think Oz is about to like die type of thing, and he ends up getting rescued by Batman, but thrown in Arkham.
Yeah, I don't see. I think this season has to end with Oz in power, in a position of power, and so if you end it with him just being thrown to jail, so that he's just near other villains, and it's like, oh, well, then what do we build up to? We build up to like a Batman cameo then. So I think we need to have a payoff for that for sure. I think it would be kind of cool to see like an Alfred cameo in some kind of form because he does a lot of like dealing with like Wayne Tech and stuff like that. So I think that some smaller character cameos are more likely, but I think if you bring in Batman, then you're gonna have people just talking about the Batman cameo over the rest of the series. I feel like, and I think they want to stay away from that.
Like I said, I'm with you. I think it's a way better chance that we'll see Commissioner Gordon, maybe even Alfred, maybe even like a Selena character, because we are dealing with all villains type of thing. Like maybe we get her reintroduced like for some reason. But I just wanna put it out there. Maybe 1% chance. The very, very end, we get a little Batman, and then we get, taste of Batman right before we start getting more news about the sequel movie. Like, maybe. But
I would like to see some kind of reference to something that could be set up. Whether if you set up the idea that the Court of Owls is out there, maybe, and like that he's been in a position of power now, he has to answer to a real underground power like the Court of Owls. So I think there's ways you could set up a sequel in there for sure.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But no wrong answers. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of this episode? And what do you think is the most likely cameo that we could potentially see during this series? There aren't any wrong answers, but I mean, there are more likely than others. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.